Amani Channel here, and this is all about the art of the interview. So I'm sort of going to tell the backstory of how I came to kind of develop this idea. I know a lot of people have been asking me now, DMing me and saying they're interested in learning more about interviewing, and I really feel like creating interviews is a really good way to get your video chops to get more comfortable speaking on camera. But aside from that, it's a great way to raise your profile, to develop your authority, your influence, to build your brand. And then you can also create products around your interview content depending upon how you frame it and how you set it up. But creating interviews and scheduling interviews and setting them all up and then conducting them isn't all as easy as just like, oh, I want to conduct an interview, right? There might be some imposter syndrome that sneaks in as you're reaching out to people. You may be like, who am I to ask this person? How do you ask folks to be interviewed? There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm not going to be able to get into it all right now. And you may notice I got the pork chop sideburns. There's a backstory to that too. So, I don't, as I'm growing my scruff out and, the hair grows and I don't really notice like how wild I'm getting. And so I just decided to cut my hair and I was like, let me just do something different. And I didn't plan on keeping these. My son hates them, by the way. And then I cut my side. So I trimmed my hair, trimmed my beard down. It was a beard. Now it's like a goatee. And then I sort of did this little treatment on the sideburns. I don't know how even they are. And my wife was like, oh, I like that. Look, you look like a country boy. You look like a cowboy with the pork chops. And so, I don't know how long I'm going to keep it. It's around for now. I was planning on chopping it off even before I went live. All right. But how do you get in the mindset of creating great interview content? How do you schedule interviews? How do you conduct the interview, right? So I'm not going to be able to get into it all right now, but what I want to do is I want to develop a training around that whole subject and maybe even a program around it. And what happened was a friend of mine, actually, she referred me to her colleague, and her colleague was like, hey, Amani, I have this podcast. I'm okay speaking on camera. I have this video podcast, and I use the content to create an audio podcast, but I'm really stepping up in terms of my content this month, and I need some help really leveling up my content. She was like, is that something you could help me with? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I was like, it's kind of outside. So I set up a call with her as I normally do with folks. I want to find out if I could really help her. And I told her, I was honest with her. I said, this is kind of outside the scope of my standard program, right? So my confidence program more focuses on people who are challenged just making videos, period, right? Starting their video marketing launched. How do you get that poise? How do you speak with confidence? How do you relax? How do you prepare your message, etc.? So I told her, I was like, this is really a non-traditional person. I was like, really, I don't really generally work with folks that have her needs, but let me put together something special. I'll come back. I'll sort of share what I put together for you, and then you can let me know if it's a fit for you or not if you want to move forward. Well, so I didn't do it like my traditional the way I do my sales calls at all. Like I didn't follow the letter of my mentor. I didn't do anything like correctly, but when I made the offer to her, I said, look, this is what it is. This is how much it's going to cost. And she was like, look, just let me check some things out. And I'm either going to go with A or B, which was I have a payment or just a flat, just pay, lump sum, or else, deposit full payment when it's done. And so I circled back with her the next day. She ended up doing the deposit and the payment in 30 days. But it was like the easiest, sale, honestly. Like it was like I didn't do anything by the letter, but still I've heard that when it's the right person, you could do everything wrong and they still will buy from you, right? And that's kind of what it was for me. Like I didn't do anything by the book. I wasn't in my traditional program, and yet she was still very interested in learning from me. And I sent her the training video that I send to everybody, which is more about the confidence thing. So she saw some testimonials, she saw the results of my other students. I guess she did some research on me, so she knows that I'm like a media professional. But it still was not like I didn't, I was kind of like just throwing it out there. Wasn't pressed to sell her or to get her in the program, anyways. So that got me thinking maybe there are others that would like to master the art of the interview. And so, and I'll say this. So I had my first call with her. And the thing is that what I'll go back to her real quick. So what I've learned in my few months, in my few years of being in the coaching education space, the online education space, is that people who make fast decisions they really get the fastest results. And so she made the deposit on Friday. We did our first call on Saturday. We're going to do our second call on Monday tomorrow. So I'm working on the slides right now. But that's just when, when things are kind of falling into place, that's how things happen, right? Things just kind of line up. The sun kind of just lines up. The stars line up. All right. So what are some things you need to worry about if you're interviewing folks? If you want to create interviews, if you want to create great content, if you want to interview folks. By the way, if you're watching this live, please put live. If you're watching this on the replay, put replay just so I know who watched this. I'd love to hear from you. So what do you need to worry about? Well, first of all, you have to understand that the interview starts way before you say hello or you start recording, right? It happens in the legwork before. All the preparation and the planning that goes into your interview actually happens before that first conversation, or the you hit record and you have them on camera, or you have them on you're recording an audio file with them. And so that's the most important thing. The planning that goes into it is really, really important. What do you have to plan for? Well, you have to know why you're conducting the interview, what's in it for your audience. Hey, Roberta, how you doing? Good to see you. You have to know what action you want the audience to take. You have to know what they want to learn, because really interviews are for your audience's benefit, all right? They really are. So even though you might have some specific questions you want to have answered by your interviewee, you have to understand that the interview is really for your audience, all right? So even if you have an agenda or you have some things you want them to say, or you want to ask them, you kind of have to cast that aside and just stand in the shoes of your audience. That's really the most important thing you have to worry about is, what does your audience need to know? Why are they watching you? Why are they in your community? Because you really want to add value and ask questions that if they were asking the questions, you kind of have to see yourself as the intermediary of that. All right. And so that goes, there's a lot of questions you should ask yourself before you, set up the interview, conduct the interview, even as you're conceptualizing it. You have to know what the mission of your interview is. Like if you're doing an interview segment, what is going to be the theme of it, right? That's going to be important because that's going to guide the questions. You may want to have certain topics that you want your interviewee to hit. You may want to say you might want to say, hey, I have a bonus tip for you at the end of this, so they stick around to the end. That's getting more into once you get in the content. But the most important thing you got to figure out is, what does your audience need to know? What do they want to learn? What will be most helpful for them? That's really the most important question you need to ask yourself. So as I kind of develop this, and I know some of you want to have say that you'll do I'd love to do an exploration call with you to find out where you are with your interviews and why you want to get better at them, so I can sort of, when I create this program or whatever I create out of it, the training, whatever I do, I can really cater it to what you need. All right. But remember, it's all about your audience. That's really the first thing you need to worry about. All right. So as we approach the new week, I want you to have a good one. All right. Everything's good, right? You're healthy. You're here. We're in home isolation. Make sure you take some time to meditate, to go introspect, give thanks, be very thankful, because I'm very thankful to be here right now. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for this community, and I'm thankful for the technology, because this would be a different world right now if we were on home isolation, home quarantine, and we couldn't communicate via online technology, right? It'd be a whole different world. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm especially thankful for you. All right. So with that, have a good one. More stuff is coming from me. Once again, if you are interested in scheduling we'll call it a 15-minute exploration call to find out how I can help you. I just want to learn about your challenges and whatever, what you want to learn, all right, about interviewing. So it's all it is. It's no pressure. I won't sell you on anything or anything like that. But I just want to know what would be most helpful for you on Amani Channel. I want you to have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.